There we go. Wonderful. Hello everyone and welcome to Thursday. If you watched yesterday's vlog, you'll be aware that Alex and Haley are visiting very soon. Tomorrow, in fact, and one of the things that we're going to be working on while they're here is continuing our Let's Play of Super Mario 3D World, or what we lovingly refer to as Cat World. If you're not familiar with how the level progression in Super Mario 3D World works, throughout the levels you're going to be collecting these green stars, and they allow you to get from one area to the next. If you don't have enough stars, you can't get to the next world. So we played through the base game when they were here last time. We've completed, the main stuff, but there's a few unlockable worlds that we want to show off. And we can show them off. The unlockable worlds don't have these same green star requirements, but the very last world, aka the very last level of the game, requires not only every green star in the game, but also every stamp and every top of flagpole. It's like all of this stuff that you have to do to even have access to play this final level of the game. If we're trying to do a true playthrough and show off everything there is to show off, I want to show off that level, but I simply do not have the time to go through and do all of these things myself. So I had a great idea. The idea was, I'll just download a save. I can go through 99% of the game on my own system, my own game, everything's fine, but this last level I can't show off unless I get all this stuff, so I'll just download a save when we go to play that level. Except, the Wii U doesn't support that. For whatever reason. The predecessor, the Wii, did. You could download someone's save file and put it on an SD card, put it into the system, load it up, and you would be fine. But for whatever reason, the Wii U doesn't support that. So I've decided that today we'll be modding the Wii U. And you might be saying, isn't that a little dangerous? It could be, yeah. You could actually brick your Wii U. Which is why I won't be using my Wii U. I'll be using this one. This is a different Wii U. This is a spare Wii U. I picked this up from our local game store, Player's Choice, and I'm going to be using this Wii U to mod. Now, you might be saying, it's kind of a ridiculous thing, right? Why would you mod the Wii U just to play one level? Because, well, for one, I don't have time, and I really want to show off that level, whatever it may be. But the other reason is that you can also mod the Wii side of this. Because the Wii U is both a Wii U and a Wii. Well, the Wii is also a GameCube, which means that if you mod the Wii side of the Wii U, that you can actually load up GameCube ISOs and play them natively, because no emulation is needed. It's actually pretty freaking cool, and the reason that I want to be able to do that is our charity stream this year, Extra Life, is going to be focused on GameCube. Now, I want to play on actual hardware, but if something goes wrong and a game doesn't work, etc., this can be our backup. We can load up an ISO of the game, and then we'll be able to play it, and we won't miss a beat in the middle of a charity event that's going to be going for 20 hours. So that's the advantage here. Yes, this is technically to play a single level of Super Mario 3D World, but it's also to load up GameCube ISOs in case we want to play them that way. Not to mention, if you're doing recording down the line, that's not a terrible way to do it because this has got an HDMI out, whereas the GameCube doesn't, unless you buy an adapter online. I guess they do have those. Anyway, that's what we're doing today, and I've never modded a Wii U, but I have soft-modded other things. I've soft-modded an Xbox, I've soft-modded a PSP, I've also installed a larger hard drive into my personal Xbox, so I have some level of experience with this stuff. It shouldn't be terribly difficult, but we're going to jump in and see what we can do. Now, it's important to note that this is not going to be like a step-by-step walkthrough. I am not teaching you how to soft-mod a Wii U. If you want to figure that out, go to Google and type in soft-mod the Wii U. But I will be kind of talking about the process that I'm taking and showing you what comes of it. Hopefully, everything will be fine, there won't be any problems, and by the end of all of this, I can load a custom save of Super Mario 3D World. Fingers crossed. Alright. Let's do this. Alright, so first things first. I had to actually set up the Wii U because it had been restored to factory defaults since the store was selling it. And I had to go through, set it up, connect to the internet, and I'm now downloading the latest system update. And for some soft mods, for some consoles, that might be counterintuitive. Maybe you're trying to land on a very specific version that is exploitable. In the Wii U's case, it hasn't been updated in a while, so the homebrew scene has taken care of patching the most recent version of the Wii U's software. So I'm going to go ahead and download that, and then I can just work from that most recent version. Next step is to format an SD card as MBR FAT32. I decided to just name it mod. So we'll go ahead and erase this. Formatting, mounting, done. So it took me a little while, but I had to download all sorts of files and then unzip them and arrange them on the SD card in a very particular way. This is pretty similar to how I had soft modded the PSP or the Xbox long ago. But there's all sorts of things. The thing that I found confusing and a little upsetting is that a lot of these are like, copy the contents into the root. But that's not quite right, because the contents into the root would be weird, because like one of the root things is a folder called Wii U, and these things spit out Wii U folders. So like that's not really where they're meant to go. Like it just shows that inside is an apps folder and inside is the thing. So it's supposed to go in here. Anyway, I figured it out. It's just that this is not completely idiot proof in my opinion. Next up, we have to get the custom firmware running on the Wii U, and in order to do that, we have one of two options for exploits. The first one is through a browser, so you actually use the Wii U's browser to navigate to a specific website. It tricks the Wii U into loading up custom firmware, and then you're good to go. The downside, from what I've read, is that you have to do it every single time. So if you reboot the system at all, which obviously you're going to do, next time you load it up, if you want to do something with custom firmware, you have to then like go back to the browser and do everything over again. The other method, and the way I chose to go, is a different exploit that relies on the DS Virtual Console, which is kind of weird, but not too weird. Back when I modded the original Xbox like a million years ago, it required a copy of Splinter Cell, so requiring specific games isn't too strange. So I went ahead and bought a copy of Brain Age off of the eShop, and apparently this copy of Brain Age will help me run the exploit without having to basically redo it every single time. It can utilize that to just like auto-load the custom firmware when the Wii U starts, at least, again, from what I've read. I've never done this before. I'm trying to follow along the steps as closely as possible, and fingers crossed we're going to have a functional Wii U at the end of all of this. Next step is to put this little guy into the Wii U and actually get the process started. Looks like we have to use the browser exploit no matter what to at least run it the first time. Once we get into it, then we can run custom firmware. But we'll start with this. There we go! First try! That wasn't too bad. So this custom firmware that doesn't require you to do this every single time, the one that also requires the DS game, is called HaxChi. So we're just going to run the HaxChi installer. And it actually shows on screen Brain Age, which is the DS Virtual Console game that I have. A bunch of things are happening, and I think we're getting rebooted. So these are all good things. So now when we get back to the Wii U menu, instead of the DS game being there, the HaxChi custom firmware is, which is fantastic. Things seem to be working correctly. So earlier I said that when this was all done, I'd be able to turn on the Wii U and it would boot into the custom firmware. You can do that. However, after reading about it a little bit, I've decided I won't do that. See, what I have installed right now is HaxChi, which means that when I turn on the Wii U, I have to click that button, and then I can do stuff. That's fine. I'm not going to be using the modded Wii U all that often anyway, so it's not a big deal. But it is possible to do cold boot HaxChi, where when you turn it on, it just boots straight to it. The reason I'm not going to be doing that is because there are so many things that can screw up. Is it likely that I would screw it up? I mean, probably not. But the risk involved, like, just increases dramatically by doing that. So I'm like, I'm not even going to be using this thing that often. All I really want to do is play the last level of Super Mario 3D World, so I think I'm just going to skip that step. This whole thing is a little bit comical, just all of the different little exploits that make things run. So the next step was to run the WUP installer, which allows me to install the homebrew channel. And what's funny is that in the process of doing it,
it would occasionally jump to the Mii creator, where you actually create your Miis, and then it would like all of a sudden be like, oh wait, and then come back here. So it's like, it's hard to tell what exactly it's using to make everything function, but it's just kind of funny to see it in action. I'm gonna be honest, I'm basically done, at least with the installation part. Whenever I turn on the Wii U, I have to go to the Hakchi app and launch it once. That boots the custom firmware, and then when I do that, the homebrew launcher will show up, and then I can launch that. That's technically 2 button presses, and I could get past all of that if I did the cold boot, but there's so many risks involved. I'm like, I'll pass. So we're pretty good at this point. It's functioning normally. So what I need to do now is probably put Cat World in, because then that will create a save and a save structure, and then I can use the Save Me homebrew to go look at the file, figure out what it is, and then find a save online that's 100% and basically swap it in.
Alright, so I just finished the first level of Cat World, so it would at least have a save on the Wii U, and then I should be able to see the directory, because it created it, and then I can inject my own save. It worked. I've got apparently 2 files here, but the first file is on World Flower, 663 lives with Peach, 342 stars. I specifically found a save file that was like, it wasn't actually 100%, it was like close to 100%. And what I'm hoping is that it's just something easy that we can grab, and then we can see if there's anything that comes up on screen that reveals like the very last level, that we'll get to see it. That's the hope. So from what I can tell, this is actually even better, because this particular save file has, from what I can tell, everything done. The difference is that they just haven't gone to the final world. That's it. So like there's 1 world / 1 level left, and this save file has everything done. All you have to do is like board the rocket and you're done. This is literally perfect. This is exactly what I wanted. I gotta say, things went really well today. I'd say in total it probably took me about 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours, to soft mod the Wii U from start to finish, and that could have been much, much faster. It was just because I was, double checking every little thing to make sure I didn't screw anything up. And the end result is the Wii U is modded. Just the Wii U. I didn't do the Wii side of it. I know I mentioned that earlier. I wanted to mod the Wii side also, so we could load GameCube ISOs for the charity event. That's true, and I still want to do that, but I didn't bother doing that tonight. I'm going to do that another time. Because the Wii U is now modded, there's a world of possibilities that open up to you. Yes, you can back up your saves, which is good. Yes, you can inject saves, which is one of the things I did tonight. But you can also play custom content. I mean, there's a bunch of homebrew utilities, which is neat. One of them allows you to put in a disc and rip the disc from the Wii U to play it without the disc, which is cool, because then you can just store them on your Wii U's internal memory. There's, custom levels and things like that, things of that nature for games. I know that during the Wii era, there was a bunch of custom content that came out for Mario Kart Wii. I'm sure people did that for New Super Mario Bros. U and New Super Mario Bros. As well. I actually remember doing that in high school with Halo 2. In fact, there was one LAN party in particular where we had a ton of classmates. We had like maybe 14 to 16 people. We all had custom games of Halo 2 on these modded Xboxes that would load these custom levels, and it was really cool. Like we had these death matches with flying warthogs and guns that shot vehicles. It was a little wacky, but it was really a good time. So all of that functionality is now available on the Wii U as well. As far as what we'll actually use it for, probably not a whole lot. We're busy as it is. But we will be able to show off that final level in the Let's Play, which was what was important to me. I could have saved a lot of time if this functionality was just built into the system like it was for the predecessor, but whatever, it's done, and now we can do other cool stuff too, if we so choose. Anyway, that is it for today. As a reminder, this was not a guide to tell you how to do things, but I stated that up front, so you should have known that. You can just Google Wii U soft mod and figure this out yourself. It really was not that bad. I'll say if you're scared to do it, then like don't do it. You know, you have to at least understand the risks that are involved. But maybe if you have a spare system and you're feeling like, yeah, I could do this, make sure that you follow all of the steps carefully. And as long as you do, you should be fine. Maybe you've got thousands of hours into a game and you're like, you know what, I need to save this file. I think that's a reasonable request. I really do. It's kind of weird that Nintendo doesn't give it to you by default, but it's a reasonable request, and you should be able to do that. And now you can. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Talk about console mods. It doesn't have to be for the Wii U, but it can be. Maybe there's other consoles that you've modded. As I said before, I modded the original Xbox and also the PSP. It's kind of weird, but I played far more Super Nintendo on the PSP than I ever did PSP games. Although that might be true for nearly every PSP owner. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow when Alex and Haley are here.